Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big topics. So today, we're going to trace the incredible path a new medicine takes, all the way from just an idea to an actual reality. You probably wondered about this, right? A promising molecule gets discovered in a lab, and then what? How does it end up in a pill bottle? Well, it's not magic, that's for sure. It's a really meticulous, high-stakes journey of discovery and proof. You can almost think of it like a gauntlet. Before any new medical treatment can be used by all of us, it has to pass this series of incredibly rigorous tests that are designed to answer some really fundamental questions. At its heart, the entire long, expensive process really boils down to just these three things. First, and this is the most important one, is it safe for people to take? Then, okay, does it actually do the thing we want it to do? And finally, is it any better than the treatments we already have? And the way we answer those three big questions, well, that's what a clinical trial is all about. It's the formal scientific process for carefully, methodically studying a new drug or procedure in human volunteers. Okay, so check this out. This is basically our roadmap for the entire journey. We're going to see how it all starts with the earliest safety tests in phase 1, then moves on to see if it actually works in phases 2 and 3, and then we'll even look at what happens after it's approved. That's phase 4. Each phase is its own unique step with a totally different goal, and each one builds on what we learned from the last one. All right, let's dive into this first part of the journey. This is where a potential new medicine meets a human body for the very first time. And at this stage, safety is the absolute #1 top priority. So before we even hit phase I, some drugs go through what's called a phase 0 trial. Think of it like a little reconnaissance mission. It's not about safety or if the drug works. Instead, researchers use a tiny dose, what's called a microdose, just to get a quick peek at how the drug behaves in the body. That little bit of early data helps them design a much smarter, more effective phase 1 trial. Okay, here we go. Now for the first major official step in the process, phase 1. This is where the real data collection in people begins. So, what exactly are we trying to find out here? You might be surprised to learn that the main goal isn't to see if the drug cures a disease. Nope, it's something much more fundamental than that. Phase I is all about one thing, safety. Researchers will start with super low doses in a pretty small group of healthy volunteers. We're talking maybe 20 to 100 people. And using healthy people is key, because it lets them see the drug's effects without a disease complicating things. They slowly increase the dose to find a safe range, look for side effects, and figure out how the body absorbs and gets rid of the drug. This builds a critical safety foundation before it's ever given to actual patients. So, once a drug has been shown to have a safe profile, it faces its next huge challenge. We think it's probably safe, but does it actually do what we hope it's going to do? This, right here, is the moment of truth. And that moment of truth brings us right to phase 2, which represents a massive leap forward in this whole clinical trial process. So here's the crucial shift. For the very first time, the treatment is tested on people who actually have the disease it's meant to treat. This is where researchers get their first real signal, an early answer to that big question. Is this thing actually working? You can really see the difference here. Notice how in phase 2, the goal is just an initial look at whether it works. And you do that with a smaller, more uniform group of patients. But if those results look promising, then you expand into phase 3. And the goal there is to confirm that it works in a much larger, more diverse population that looks more like the real world. So let's really dig into these pivotal phase 3 trials. These are often the final massive hurdle before a drug can even be submitted for approval. Phase 3 trials are the big leagues. These are the huge, rigorous studies that provide the definitive proof that regulators, like the FDA, need to see. We're talking hundreds, sometimes thousands of patients, often all over the world. This is where they confirm the drug works, keep an eye on safety over a longer time, and test it against the current standard treatment or a placebo to really prove its worth. Now, you might think the story's over once a drug gets that stamp of approval and hits the pharmacy shelves. But the journey isn't done. There's one more critical phase to monitor its long-term impact on all of us. And that's phase 4, the real-world test. Instead of a few thousand patients in a controlled trial, you can now have millions of people using the medication. This phase is absolutely crucial for catching rare or long-term side effects that just wouldn't show up in the smaller, shorter phase 3 trials. It's basically ongoing safety surveillance for as long as the drug is on the market. And you gotta understand, this entire journey, from that first little peak in phase 0 all the way through phase 4, none of this happens by accident. It's not improvised. It's all guided by an incredibly detailed master plan, designed to make sure the results are trustworthy and the volunteers are kept safe. So let's pull back the curtain on maybe the single most important document in this whole process. It's called the protocol. You can think of it as the rulebook, the map, and the architectural blueprint all rolled into one. Every single detail is spelled out in the protocol before a single person is enrolled. First, the objective. What's the exact question we're trying to answer? Second, the plan. Who can participate and what exactly will they have to do? Third, the endpoints. What specific things are we going to measure to get our answer? And finally, the analysis. How are we going to interpret all that data? Planning all this in advance is absolutely essential to prevent bias and make sure the results actually mean something. Let's just focus on that first step for a second. Defining a clear objective. Sounds pretty simple, right? But let's see how just a small change in wording can make a massive difference in whether you can get a reliable answer at all. I mean, just look at the difference here. The ambiguous one on the left just says assess the efficacy of drug D. How to even measure that? It's way too vague. But now look at the specific one on the right. Assess whether drug D is superior to a placebo in a specific group of patients with a very specific blood pressure range for exactly 6 months. You see, an ambiguous question can't be scientifically answered. A specific one gives the whole research team a clear, measurable target to aim for. So when you really think about it, this long, difficult, multi-phase journey is the hidden foundation of all modern medicine. Every single treatment you trust, from a simple pain reliever to a life-saving therapy, has successfully navigated this exact path. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What amazing future breakthroughs are on this very same journey right now, getting ready to change the world?